What is up, sports fans? Welcome into another victorious edition of the Pacific Office on a Mason postgame scoreboard show. Schultze and Will sitting in with you. Ryan Buckley actually was on the pregame show today. Dirt was sick, so we had to do a little bit of shuffling, but that means that we get to talk to Buck on the phones right now. And I know Buck, a former Duck and just a huge Duck fan, probably bigger than me, is reveling in this win just like I am. So, Buck, I got to ask you, how are you feeling after watching this game? We can get into the tumultuous first half and the third quarter, but that was just, what a win. Congrats to you as a fellow Duck fan. How you feeling as a Big Ten champion tonight, my friend?
Well, I don't know that I've earned any congratulations.
Oh, you have?
Yes, congratulations all around. It was a great night to be a Duck. 13-0, Big Ten champions in a new conference, winning the new conference the first time out. It was a special night, and I also read the stat that Oregon is the first team ever to beat Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan, and Penn State all in the same season. Never happened before. And so the Ducks have done that. They've had that to their resume. They get the first round bye. It's smooth sailing right now. And honestly, hats off to Penn State. They were way more formidable than I thought they were going to be. Their offense showed a dimension that we haven't seen from them this season. And Oregon was able to do enough offensively to stem the tide and enough defensively to just hold on at the end. And I love it. I'm feeling great.
How impressive was it to watch Tez Johnson today? Like, it felt like a little bit of watching T.O. back when he broke his leg and he returned to the Super Bowl. And, like, you knew he was, like, 85%, but he's not 100. It felt like every time Tez caught the ball, he dropped down. But he just came out and had an absolute whale of a game, Buck. What was it like as an alumni to see a player, one, perform at that level, but to do it when he's not even 100% healthy?
Well, listen, like we've talked about it a lot on the show in the times that he was absent from the team when he first came back from his injury in that first game back, where I think it was Dusty who mentioned that it seemed like that first half in the UW game, it almost looked like they weren't using him to his full capacity. They were using him more as a decoy, and then he got more involved in the second half, and you saw some flashes of the Tez that we know. But tonight what you saw was the ultimate display of a dude who has kind of come into his own. I mean, from being a guy who was a receiver at Troy to following his brother Bo Nix to get here and then to put up the best receiving game in the history of the Big Ten championship game, it's really special, man. He showed you why he is the straw that stirs the drink. And tonight it wasn't just him opening up things for other people. He showed out himself. And so, yeah, it was really special.
Yeah, his speed, man. Tez Johnson just makes the Ducks better with his speed and athletic ability. It's insane. He takes them to another level. That was a great thing for Oregon. One thing on the not-so-great side, their defense. I mean, neither defense was that great, but I don't think people expected Oregon's defense to give up so many points. So how did you feel watching in the first half, especially when, like, Oregon looked confused? They almost looked like they didn't know where Tyler Warren was at times, and B, didn't even know where to line up pre-snap. I was not expecting Oregon to be so thrown off, Buck, and I don't know if you were or not as well.
It's interesting that it's framed that way, just because I don't know. There's a sense that I had that when Oregon started firing on all cylinders offensively, it's almost like it gave the defense license to breathe a little bit. And so I feel like we're in a situation where the Ducks were maybe not as tight as they could have been defensively, but they also didn't have to be. And so therefore it's like it certainly was not their best defensive effort. And again, I want to say hats off to Penn State. I mean, Drew Aller was awesome today, and the best game that we have seen from him probably as a collegiate quarterback. That Penn State run game was really good. And the bottom line is, when you get to this time of the season, now you're starting to see other teams' true colors and how good they really are. And I think it's a tough thing in a conference like the Big Ten that now is 18 teams deep, and you don't see every team play each other. You don't really know who everyone's best is. And so as much as I would like to say, I wasn't pleased with the Oregon defense today, I think what ended up happening is we ended up seeing a side of Penn State that they didn't really get a chance to show people most of the season, or that people thought when they put it up on other teams wasn't that impressive. And they did it today against another really good team and made you say, wow, there are a couple really legit teams in this conference. So Oregon's defense certainly did not play as well as I expected them to. I thought the pass rush was going to be a lot better. The fact that they weren't able to get home, and the discrepancy of course, when you have 10 sacks a week ago and then you have so few today, it's a little bit more glaring. But they came up with what they needed to at the end of the game, and hats off again to Nico Reed, because he's been picked on at times this season, and he comes up with a massive pick at the end of the game in one-on-one coverage. So you weren't staunch the way you've been all season long, but you came up with big plays when you needed them.
I know he's been only in Oregon and in Eugene for one football season, like not even a full year yet. Where does Dylan Gabriel rank? Like maybe you can't, like he's obviously not number one, but when you stack up his accomplishments compared to a lot of other Duck quarterbacks, he has to be in the conversation as being one of your favorites.
It's really special. I mean, it's hard to, as a fan, maybe say that you have as much stock invested in the guy who's been there for a shorter period of time, but we're now entering this new age of college football where the musical chairs is a very real thing, and the best players get shuffled around a lot. And as a Ducks fan and someone who gets to work on this team, like it was an excitement and a surprise to find out that, whoa, we get to go from Bo Nix to Dylan Gabriel. That seems like a really nice transition. And there were times where maybe it felt a little bit bumpy, but for the most part, across the board, that guy has been, even when you take away some of the warts or the issues with red zone interceptions and things like that I know we've talked about, Will, the guy has been an absolute leader, and he has followed in that same mold as his Hawaiian brother, Marcus Mariota, in that, like, it feels like it's more to him. It's more than just football to him. It's leadership, it's brotherhood, it's togetherness, and that's something Dan Lanning is preaching, and it's something that it feels like Dylan Gabriel really brought to Eugene with him, that importance. And I think it's reflected in the connectivity of the offense. Those guys are firing together right now, and a lot of that is testament to Dylan. I mean, he seems like the kind of guy, we haven't had the chance to talk to him directly, but that is the ultimate leader, and he leads by example. He leads with his words, and Oregon's really, really lucky to have him. He might just be the guy to lead them to their first national championship. We'll see about that.
283 yards, 4 tutties today, probably one of his best games, if not his best game as an Oregon Duck when it mattered most. Buck, appreciate you, man. It's getting late. We'll let you go celebrate this Ducks win with the fam, with the friends, and we'll talk to you on Monday for an edition of Ducks Roundtable, a Big Ten Championship edition of Ducks Roundtable. You can't call it a college football playoff edition yet because they got 3 weeks
Not
now.
Yet.
Yeah, no, this is. I'm loving this.
You know
baby.
what? On Monday we will have our bracket, so we will at least know one of two opponents that Oregon will be facing, and I can't wait to see how this whole thing shakes out. I'm fired up about tonight's result and about the future. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Buck. Appreciate it. Wave at him as he goes. 1080 The Fan, host of the Pacific Office Automation postgame scoreboard show. Ryan Buckley checking in, celebrating this Ducks win over Penn State, 45-37 in the Big Ten Championship matchup. And, of course, we'll be talking about that with him on Ducks Roundtable, and Anthony Newman, Will Ortner, and I all be here on Monday